Hi Year 7 Mathematics students. Today we're continuing on with the topic of working mathematically, and we're doing the fifth exercise, making a list, chart, table or tally. So you'll often need to make a complete list to solve a problem. It is important that you select the best way to make your list. So for examples, we have our first one is that Alana has to visit 3 universities in the order she prefers. The universities that she likes are the University of New South Wales, UNSW, Newcastle Uni, which we are going to use the N to abbreviate it, and Sydney Uni, which we're going to use S to abbreviate it. So we're being asked how many different ways are there to list these universities in order. So what we can do to have this is we need to write a list, and so our best way to write our list is to actually make like a tree diagram. So our choice number 1 is that Alana could pick UNSW, so University of New South Wales. She could pick Newcastle Uni, or she could pick Sydney Uni. So in her first choice she can pick either 3. Then when it gets to choice number 2, she only has 2 choices to pick. So if she's already picked UNSW, then she can either pick in her second choice Newcastle Uni or Sydney Uni. If she's already picked Newcastle, she can then pick UNSW or Sydney Uni. If she first picks Sydney Uni, then she can either pick UNSW or Newcastle. Okay, because she can't pick the same university twice. So then for her third choice, so choice number 3, she has already picked UNSW and Newcastle Uni, so then her last choice will be to pick Sydney Uni in that order. She's already picked UNSW and Sydney, so then her third choice would have to be Newcastle. She's already picked Newcastle, then UNSW, so her third choice would have to be Sydney. She's already picked Newcastle, then Sydney, so then her next choice will be UNSW. And then she picks Sydney Uni, UNSW, so then third choice is Newcastle. And then she picks Sydney Uni, Newcastle, so then her last choice here is UNSW. So then we have created the 6 choices or 6 different ways that there are to list these universities. So she could do UNSW, then Newcastle, then Sydney. She could do UNSW, Sydney, then Newcastle. She could do Newcastle, then UNSW, then Sydney. She could do Newcastle, then Sydney, then UNSW. She could do Sydney, then UNSW, and then Newcastle, or she could do Sydney, then Newcastle, then UNSW. So there is 6 different ways Alana can list these universities in order. Okay. Moving on to example 2, we have the numerals 1 to 10 are written on 10 separate cards, 1 on each card. For part A, we want to know how many cards have a sum of 8. So we want to get our friends of 8. So we have 1 and 7. We could have 2 and 6. And we could have 3 and 5. We can't have 4 and 4 because we don't have 2 4 cards. We only have 1 4 card. And we can't have 5 and 3 because that's already the same as 3 and 5. So therefore, we can have 3 pairs of cards that sum to 8. Okay, then part B, how many groups of 3 cards have a sum of 20? So as 20 is fairly big, we will begin with the 10 card and see which pairs will go with it to give a sum of 10. So if we start with the 10 card, we're then trying to add another lot of 10 onto 10 to make 20. So we want to list our friends of 10 next to our 10 card. So our first friends of 10 will be 1 and 9. So our first group will be 10, 9, 1 and 9. Then we'll have 10, 2 and 8. There's another lot of friends of 10. Then we have 10, 3 and 7. And then we'll have 10, 4 and 6. So as you can see here, all I have done is I've done my friends of 10. We can't have 10, 5 and 5 because we can't have 2 5 cards as we only have 1 5 card. And 10, 6 and 4 is already here. Okay. So now that we have used, starting with the 10 card, we're next going to start with the 9 card. Okay, so now we're trying to make friends of 11. So we have 9, 3, and 8 make 11. We have 9, 4, and 7, which makes 11. We have 9, 5, and 6, which makes 11. There is no other friends of 11, okay? We've only got 3 and 8, 4 and 7, 5 and 6 to go with our 9s. If we wrote 6 and 5, it would just be the same as repeating 9, 5, 6, okay? And then 9, 1, and 10 have already been listed, as well as 9, 2, and 9 is impossible because we can't have 2 9 cards. So now we consider having 8 as our first card. So you have 8 as our first card. We want to make friends of 12. So we have 5 and 7 will make friends of 12. And note that we've already done 8, 2, and 10 here. And we've already done 9, 3, and 8 here as well. So we don't have any other friends to go with 8. And if we were to do 7, we already have all of the 7 possibilities in there. So there are no other groups that cards will add to give 20. So therefore, there are 8 groups of 3 cards that have a sum of 20. And that is it. So if you're following through the Australian Signpost Mathematics New South Wales Year 7 textbook, you would now do exercise 205. Have a good day.